It was quite slim pickings, and this was actually before I went to the generic game store. I picked up a PlayStation 5 game, and we're not going to beat around the bush.
Let's go!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Free Trading Game Collection, the series where I look to build a video game collection without spending any money on it. That's what that is behind me. The playlist is linked down below if you want to know how we've managed to acquire every single game that you see behind me, every console, everything, right down to the collectibles. It is all documented from episode 1 in the description, so go check it out. In a nutshell, I will go to places like Facebook Marketplace, Vinted, eBay, CEX, pawn shops, you name it, wherever I can get a deal. I'll pick it up, try and flip it on for a profit, or just to get the money back in general. If there's anything left over, we'll take it into CEX, get some vouchers, and then of course we'll go and get the games that we actually want for the collection. That's generally how it works. That's how it's worked for me so far. We do have a cash profit in this series, a cash balance, if you will, that we can go and use whenever we want. And today we're going to slow it down a little bit, and we're going to do what I like to call spending the profit. I'm going to go to a video game store that will be unnamed and buy some games there, but I'm also going to go to CEX because there's something that has now gone up in price. I wouldn't say significantly, but it's had 2 price hikes since I bought it I think just before the new year. I bought it New Year's Eve, and I was on the fence about buying it when I did. Kind of glad I did, because now it trades in for exactly how much I bought it for, and it would cost you like an extra 5 or 6 quid on top of what I paid, which is pretty decent. But before we get there, we have to go to the generic unnamed video game store. If you're wondering why I'm not saying what it is, they've asked me not to. It's pretty obvious who it is if you've been there before, if you've seen previous videos, because I've mentioned it before, but they asked me this time not to, so I won't. We went there in the last episode, I think, to trade some stuff in. It didn't quite go according to plan, but I did end up getting £68, I think, in credit. Picked up a few games. Arcade Paradise, finished it. Very disappointed that I finished it. It's a fantastic game. It does get a little bit... I think there's a period of about an, I don't know, hour and a half to 2 hours-ish before the end of the story, where things start to get a little bit like, okay, right, I've done this a lot. This is now very repetitive. But if you can push past that half an hour of monotony, I guess, it is just a fantastic game. I'm a really big fan of that Arcade Paradise. I finished it now, and what I mean by I was disappointed to finish it. It's one of those where I've now got what game do I play next syndrome. And I've tried a couple in my collection, and they're just not quite clicking. They're games that I do want to play, but they're not quite clicking. So maybe we find something here that I can pick up. Looking through the Xbox 360 section primarily, because a lot of their games are very well priced. They have, in my opinion, I wouldn't say a bigger selection than CEX, because it does depend on which store you go to. But they do have some things in here that I've not seen in CEX stores for quite a while. So it was interesting to go through it. Unfortunately, I didn't pick any of those up. In hindsight, I probably should have just spent a fair amount of money here and then just split it up over a few episodes of spending the profit. But I didn't really want to outstay my welcome too much. And I only picked up 3 games, I should say. 2 of which are staples of the Xbox 360. You absolutely have to play this. Even if you've never played them before, you have to go and try them, because they are phenomenal games. Really wish, actually, that they would get, like, massive remasters. Kind of like, you know, like on the PlayStation, they remaster The Last of Us every week. It would be awesome if they could remaster these games that I've picked up. And then I picked up a Wii game, A, because it was really cheap, and B, because I tried it like once when I worked in Game Station, and I enjoyed it for like 5 minutes, and then I never played it again. But I feel like it's something that I don't think I'd play through in one go, but every now and again maybe I'd pick it up and have a little go of it. But yeah, going to show you those right now. So let me show you this very cheap 50p game. It's actually the same price as CEX. I'm pretty sure if they undercut CEX for this game, they'd have to just give it away, maybe even pay you to take it. It's not an exciting one. It is Red Steel. It's a game that at the time, there was nothing else like this on the Wii. It was full of family, kid-friendly games, and this came out, and it sort of filled that very big gap. I say filled, it was just like a hot dog down a corridor, really, but it was It was a game that was needed on the Wii at the time, and since then a few others have come out, of course, but this was needed. A game for the grown-ups, if you will. For people who like video games and who like shooting stuff and wielding samurai swords, this was a bit of a godsend to many. Whether it's a good game or not, I really don't know, because like I said, I played 5 minutes and I kind of enjoyed what I played, so I'll have to give that a little go. So to many of you, this may be a little bit of a cop-out that I've bought these, but I mean, you have to buy them at some point, so today was the day. £2 each on these. They are from the same series, so I will reveal them together. Absolute staples. It is Fable 3 and Fable 2, and as I mentioned, they were £2 each. If you've never played these before, you don't have to play the first one. Trust me, I didn't. You can go and pick these up right now and you will have hours of fun. There are loads of games out there that I've played and enjoyed over the years. And even though I've enjoyed them, I could put them down at any time. But then there are those games that come along, like Red Dead, the original, for example, where it came along and I had to play through it as fast as possible. Not because I needed to get it done, but I was just so engrossed in it that I needed to know how it finished and I wanted to do more. Fable 2 was that game for me. I lived in the world of Albion. I really enjoyed myself. Fable 3 is a good game, I do like it, but I didn't find it as good as Fable 2. I've got no idea how good Fable 1 is. I'm guessing it was a good game. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made another 2. But these are very good games, and I haven't played them for a long time, but I would imagine they still hold up today. There are a lot of mechanics in here that are missing from modern AAA titles. So, yeah, I definitely would recommend these to anyone. But the generic video game store pickups were Red Steel, Fable 2, Fable 3, £4.50 spent, which means we have £10.50 to go and spend in CEX, which is exactly what I did. So we've been to this CEX before on this visit, and it was barren. I think it was New Year's Eve. That's how long ago I filmed this. I've got so much backed up that I just need to get through. It's unreal. But the shelves were just all over the place. It was such a mess in there. This is the Cardiff CEX. They normally have a very big selection of games. However, the Switch section, the GameCube section, even the PS5 section, just looked like they had about 4 games for each platform. It was quite slim pickings, and this was actually before I went to the generic game store and picked up Fable and Red Steel, so I didn't really have a £10.50 budget. I just had a budget of around 15, and I could split up into a few videos if I needed to. So I was just looking for games that were, in my opinion, slightly undervalued or cheap enough that I wanted to play them and wanted to pick them up. So I picked up a PlayStation 5 game. And we're not going to beat around the bush. I picked this up because A, I thought it was undervalued, £10 for a PlayStation 5 game that is, I would say, relatively new. I mean, every PlayStation 5 game is relatively new, right? But we have a few of these games in a compilation that I picked up recently, and it is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Now that might, again, like the Fable games, might be a little bit of, oh, really? That was the game? But look, the game was £10. And I think if you can get a PS5 game for 10 quid, regardless of what the game is, it's not a bad deal. You know, there are some bad games, sure. But for a current generation game for £10, and, you know, you could argue that this is a big AAA title that goes with a really good series. Now, I know this isn't like the other Yakuza games. I'm pretty sure this is turn-based. I might be wrong in saying that, but I think they've switched up the formula a little bit for this game. Don't know quite how it was received, but I picked up the Yakuza collection on the PS4 the other week from Vinted for a very cheap price. Haven't quite got around to playing those yet because I've been playing Arcade Paradise and absolutely loved every second of it. Now I'm looking for another game to play. It could be from the beginning of the Yakuza series up until this one. Of course, there are plenty in between that we don't own that we need to pick up. But I just thought that for £10 was a little bit too good to leave there. I've seen it before for £10 in CEX, and I've thought about it numerous times. I bought it at the very right time, because then it went up to 12 the day after I bought it, and then it went up to 15 a few days later. So at the moment, this actually trades in for 10, which is, of course, what we bought it for. So if I really wanted to, I could go and get my trade credit back for what I spent on this, and we could go and reinvest it into something else. I say reinvest. This isn't an investment necessarily. I'm pretty sure it will be, but that's not why I do it. But it looked interesting. It's one I need for the series. It's another PS5 game to put into the collection as well. I like to fill my collection with games I intend to play. A few people have mentioned it so far in this series that my collection is full of fodder, quote unquote, or shovelware as it would also be known. And you might be right in saying that. a lot of the games I own, like the Crash Dummies game on the PS4, I absolutely know that that isn't going to be considered ever a good game. It's never going to really go up in value to a point where we can make money on it. That's not what my collection is all about. I don't want to just throw anything and everything on the shelves just for the sake of having a big video game collection. I want the games I actually intend to play or have played in the past, and when I look at them and I look at them on the shelf, I get that big feeling of nostalgia. And that is what these episodes of Spending the Profit all about. £14.50, two very nostalgic games for me, one in a series that we need and another one, I mean, I guess it could be considered a staple for the Wii, probably not. But I'm not ever really going to pick up that many Wii games, so to get Red Steel, and I know that there's a Red Steel 2 that I think is a little bit more expensive than this one, so I'm definitely going to look to pick that up. But from what I remember, that was enjoyable, so I definitely want to give it another go. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Some more games to put into the collection and only a little bit of money spent. The updated figures are on screen for you right now. If you have enjoyed it, do me a favour and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, of course. And until the next time, goodbye.